were never like them. Not when you were a child, sitting in a room full of laughing people, feeling like you were watching life through glass. Not when everyone else moved forward easily, naturally, like water flowing downhill, and you stood still, feeling the weight of something you couldn't name. You felt it, didn't you? That quiet, persistent sense that you were built differently, that your soul operates on a frequency most people can't hear, that your pain goes deeper, your joy burns brighter, and your longing for something real never stops. You've been told you're too sensitive, too intense, too much. But what if that's not a flaw? What if that's the mark? Right now, millions of people are scrolling through their lives, numb, distracted, never once asking why they're here. You stopped and pressed play on this video. That's not an accident. That's not coincidence. You were guided here. Because today, everything changes. Today, you're going to understand why you've always felt like a stranger in a world that never quite fit. Why your silence holds more wisdom than most people's speeches. Why your struggles carved something inside you that ordinary comfort could never build. Your tomb is empty now. The old version of you, the confused one, the one who apologized for being too deep, too aware, too awake, that version is gone. What walks out today is the one who finally knows. And what you're about to hear will give you chills. If this message is already resonating in your chest, type 999 in the comments right now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Your soul led you here for a reason. Part 1. The wound that was actually a door. You didn't choose to feel different. It chose you. Think back, early childhood, a moment when you looked around at the people who were supposed to be your world and felt completely alone inside a room full of family, a birthday party, a classroom, a dinner table. Everyone was laughing, everyone was fine, and you were somewhere else entirely. Not broken, not wrong, elsewhere. That feeling followed you through school, through friendships that never quite reached the depth you craved, through relationships where you gave everything and still felt unseen, through jobs, through routines, through years of trying to fit inside a shape that was never made for you. You tried to shrink yourself, you really did. You tried to care less, feel less, want less. You learned to perform normalcy, like an actor who knows every line but never believes the role. And people around you, they seemed so easy, so unbothered, so satisfied with surfaces. You would watch them and wonder, what did they know that I don't? Why can't I just settle? Here's the truth no one told you. You were never supposed to settle. The wound you've been carrying, that chronic sense of not belonging, of being too much for ordinary spaces, that wound was not a mistake. It was an initiation. It was life pressing down on you until something inside you crystallized into something rare. Cold becomes diamond under pressure. You have been under pressure your entire life. Most people run from depth. You live there. Most people avoid silence. You hear things in it. Most people fear the dark night of the soul. You have walked through it more than once and come back carrying fire. That is not weakness. That is preparation. The world doesn't need more people who are comfortable. It needs people who have been broken open, people who know what it means to rebuild from nothing, people who can sit with another human being in their darkest moment and say without words, I have been here. You are not alone. That person is you, and you're only just beginning to understand what that means.
Part 2. The signs you were always ignoring. There were signs. There always were. You felt things before they happened, a heaviness in a room that others couldn't detect, a knowing about someone's pain before they ever spoke it, a pull towards certain people, certain places, certain words that landed in you like prophecy. You called it anxiety. You called it overthinking. You were wrong. That hyper-awareness you carry, the one that exhausts you, the one that makes crowds feel like static and silence feel like home, that is perception, Rare, profound, almost supernatural perception. Empaths don't choose to feel everyone's pain. They are built for it. Old souls don't choose to crave depth. They remember what depth feels like from somewhere before. You've always had a relationship with truth that others find uncomfortable. You can't pretend. You can't perform happiness when something is wrong. You can't stay in rooms where people are dishonest. Your whole body rejects it. That's not a personality quirk. That's a calibration. You were calibrated for truth in a world addicted to illusion. You've also noticed something else, haven't you? The pattern of your pain? Every time you were broken, something better was being built. Every time a door closed, you eventually found yourself in a room more aligned with who you actually are. You look back now at what felt like destruction, and you see construction. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That is a chosen path revealing itself in reverse. There is a difference between people who are just lost and people who are in the wilderness on purpose. Moses was in the wilderness. Jesus was in the wilderness. Every prophet, every healer, every light bringer you've ever admired went through a season of profound isolation and confusion before their purpose crystallized. You are in that season, or you are just coming out of it. Either way, the wilderness was not punishment. It was pruning. Everything that fell away from your life, the friends who didn't understand you, the versions of yourself that no longer fit, none of it was loss. It was preparation. Something is coming for you that requires who you're becoming. Part 3. Why the chosen one always suffers first. People romanticize the chosen one. They see the light and miss the cost. But you know the cost. You've paid it in sleepless nights, in loving people who couldn't love you the way you needed, in searching for meaning in a world that keeps offering you distraction instead. You know what it's like to feel called to something you can't even name yet. That ache, that restlessness, that persistent sense that you were supposed to be doing something important, something that matters, but you can't quite see what it is. That ache is not emptiness. That ache is direction. The most powerful people in history were not the most comfortable. They were the most forged in rejection, in misunderstanding, in loss that carved them hollow so they could hold more light. You have been carved hollow, and that is sacred. Here's what most people never understand about spiritual calling. It doesn't come to those who have it easy. It comes to those who have been made ready. Suffering, when met with awareness and intention, doesn't destroy you. It initiates you. Every dark night you survived made you more capable of holding space for someone else's. Every moment you chose to keep going when everything in you screamed to stop, that was a muscle being built, a resilience that ordinary people will never access because they were never pushed to that edge. You were pushed to that edge, and you didn't fall. You transformed. There's a version of the chosen one story that the world loves to tell. The hero who rises triumphant and glowing, completely healed and certain. But the real story, the true story, it's messier, quieter, more internal. It's you alone at 2 a.m. writing in a journal or staring at a ceiling, feeling like everything is falling apart while something ancient inside you whispers, "This is part of it. Keep going." That whisper is real. That voice knows something your fear doesn't. And the fact that you're still here, still searching, still feeling, still reaching for something deeper is proof that that voice has been right all along.
Part 4. The moment the chosen one wakes up. Waking up doesn't look like the movies. It's not a thunderclap. It's not a vision. It's not one single moment of blinding clarity. It's quieter than that, softer, and somehow more permanent. It happens when you stop waiting for permission to be who you are. It happens when you stop explaining your sensitivity to people who will never understand it. When you stop shrinking in rooms that were never built for your size. When you look in the mirror one morning and instead of searching for flaws, you see a survivor. You see someone who came back every time. The awakening of a chosen soul is not loud. It's a slow, steady realization that the life you've been apologizing for is actually the life that was crafted for you. That the very experiences you thought disqualified you are the exact credentials the world needs from you. Your story is your assignment. The pain you've processed becomes the wisdom that heals. The loneliness you survived becomes the compassion that connects. The confusion you walked through becomes the lantern that guides others out of their darkness. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. This is how light moves through the world, not through perfect people with perfect lives, through cracked ones, through the ones who have been broken enough to let the light pass through. You are the crack. You are the light. You are both. Right now, in this exact moment of your life, something is shifting. You can feel it. A turning point that doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It just arrives as a quiet certainty in your chest. I am not broken. I am becoming. That certainty, hold it, because the world will test it. People who cannot access their own depth will try to pull you back into comfortable shallowness. Old patterns will knock on your door dressed in familiar clothes. But you know now. You know what you are. You are someone who was chosen not because life was easy for you, but because you chose again and again to rise. And that choice, it doesn't end today. It begins. Your tomb is empty. Let that land. The version of you that doubted everything, that apologized for feeling too much, that hid the brightest parts of yourself to make others comfortable, that version is gone. What stands here now is something else entirely, something awake, something aware, something that has walked through fire and come out on the other side not as ash, but as ember, still burning, still alive, still capable of setting the whole world alight. You were never the problem. You were always the answer. And the question? The question is this. Now that you know what you carry, what will you do with it? Will you go back to sleep? Will you shrink again? Will you let the noise of a world that doesn't understand you convince you that you're too much? Or will you walk out of this tomb, head high, chest open, knowing that everything you've been through was building something extraordinary? The chosen path is not comfortable, but it is yours, and you have been on it longer than you know. So walk toward the depth, walk toward the calling you can feel but can't yet name, walk toward the version of yourself that your pain has been building in secret. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are not alone. You are chosen, and now you know it. If this reached something real inside you, subscribe, because what's coming next will take you even deeper. Your soul didn't find this channel by accident.